This is the guided practice for parallel lines and transversals. A transversal is a line that intersects two lines in the same plane at two different points. Transversal T and lines A and B form 8 angles. It says angle pairs formed by a transversal. So these are some that we talked about last week. We're just going to use these numbers to give them an example of each one. Corresponding angles lie on the same side of the transversal and on the same side of lines A and B. So for example, I can use angle 1 and angle 5 because they are both on the left side of the transversal and they're both on the top of lines A and B. So over here you'll write the symbol for angle 1 and angle 5. Alternate exterior angles are non-adjacent angles, so that means they're not right beside each other, that lie on opposite sides of the transversal T between lines A and B. Alternate interior angles. For example, I can use 3 and 6 for alternate interior angles. Alternate exterior angles lie on opposite sides of the transversal T outside of lines A and B. So alternate exterior can be like angle 1 and angle 8. Same side interior angles lie on the same side of transversal T between lines A and B. So same side interior can be like angle 3 and angle 5. We also talked about like how these angles compare to each other in measure. So if I look at angle 1 and angle 5, notice how they're both acute. So even though these parallel lines cut by a transversal form 8 angles, there's only going to be 2 different angle measures. We'll have an acute angle measure and we'll have an obtuse angle measure. So since these are both acute, I know that they are congruent. Angle 3 and 6 are both obtuse. Therefore, I know that they are congruent. Angle 1 and 8 are both acute, so I know that they are congruent. Okay, and then for that last one, 3 and 5. So this time, whenever I look at angle 3 and 5, I have 2 different types of angles. I have this is obtuse and this is acute. Now I know that 5 is equal to that 1. So since 3 and 1 are side by side and they're making that straight line, which I know a straight line is 180 degrees. So I know that 3 and 5, if they were side by side and adjacent, they would form that straight angle that's 180 degrees. So the fancy word that you learned for that is supplementary. So 2 angles that add up to be 180 are supplementary. Okay, the bottom goes through just some more examples, and they also talk about adjacent share a common side. So remember, those were the ones that were like side by side. So beside adjacent, we'll just look at this picture. I can say angle 1 and angle 2 are adjacent because they're sharing this wall. They're right beside each other. Okay, so you can make sure this one's glued down before you do the next one.